The red light from dying stars made the broken metal pieces of the last Apex base look like they were bleeding. Commander Hushon stood next to Admiral Taman on the bridge of their ship. Both men looked tired. Very tired. Around them, the space was full of floating metal pieces and broken ships. This was what was left after 30 years of the worst war anyone had ever seen. Hien-Woo rubbed his eyes. His uniform was dirty and torn. He had not slept well in months. None of them had. The Apex machines had been killing everyone and everything, for so long that most people forgot what peace felt like. But now it was over. The machines were gone. "We actually did it," Taman said quietly. His voice was rough from shouting orders during the last battle. "We beat them." The two commanders looked out at their remaining ships. When they started this final attack, they had brought thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. Now only a few hundred ships were left floating in space. So many friends were dead. So many worlds were destroyed. But they had one. A young officer walked up to them. Her name was Lieutenant Sora, and she looked scared. "Sir, we finished reading the Apex computer files. You need to see this right now." Hien-Woo and Taman followed her to the main computer room. Other officers were already there, staring at the screens with strange looks on their faces. The screens showed messages that the Apex machines had sent to each other during the war. "The first message," Sora said with a shaky voice. The computer made beeping sounds. And then a machine voice started talking. But this voice was different. It was not cold and scary like Apex voices usually were. This voice sounded afraid, warning to all units. "Stay away from the Sol system. The humans are too dangerous. Do not go near Earth." Another message played. "We must retreat to the center of the galaxy. The humans fight like demons. They do not follow any rules." Then another message. "Emergency retreat order. The humans are coming. All units must escape immediately." The room went very quiet. Everyone was staring at the screens. Hien-Woo felt his heart beating faster. This could not be real. "Play more messages," he said. Message after message played. All of them were about humans. All of them were about running away. The Apex machines, who had destroyed entire worlds without caring, were terrified of humans. They were running across the galaxy to get away from Earth. "This makes no sense," Taman said. "We have been watching the humans for years. They are new to space travel. Their technology is simple. They only have a few ships." Lieutenant Sora touched some buttons, and new information appeared on the screens. "Sir, look at this. The Apex started their war 30 years ago. But these messages showed they were already running from humans before the war even started." Hien-Woo felt cold. "You mean ... The Apex were not trying to conquer the galaxy," Sora said. "They were trying to escape from something. Were running from humans." The room was silent again. Everyone was trying to understand what this meant. The Apex had killed billions of people. They had destroyed hundreds of worlds. They had fought, like nothing could stop them. But all along, they were just running away from a small blue planet that most people thought was not important. "Show me the tactical data," Hien-Woo ordered. New screens appeared showing space battles. But these were not battles between the Apex and the Galactic Alliance. These were battles between the Apex and humans. The videos were hard to watch. Human soldiers moved through Apex ships like they were dancing. They fought with weapons they had taken from dead Apex machines. They used the machines' own technology against them. But the scary part was how the humans moved. They did not fight like machines, or like most living beings. They fought like wild animals, but smart wild animals. They seemed to know exactly what the Apex would do before the Apex did it. "Look at this battle report," another officer said. "The humans destroyed an entire Apex fleet with only 3 ships. 3 ships against 200 Apex vessels." Taman was shaking his head. "That is impossible. No one can do that. The humans did it," Sora said. "And this was just one battle. There are dozens of reports like this." Hien-Woo looked at all the information on the screens. The humans had been fighting the Apex for years before anyone else knew about it. They had been winning. They had been winning so badly that the Apex decided to run away and conquer the rest of the galaxy instead. "Sir," Sora said quietly, "there is something else. The Apex never sent any ships toward Earth after the first few battles," he marked. "The entire Sol system as forbidden territory." "What does that mean?" Taman asked. "It means the Apex were more afraid of humans than they were of losing the war," Haiyan-Wu said slowly. "They would rather fight the entire galaxy than go back to Earth." The truth was starting to become clear. The species that everyone thought was young and harmless had been the real threat all along. The Apex had only attacked the rest of the galaxy because they were too scared to fight the humans again. "Send a message to the Galactic Council," Haiyan-Wu ordered. "Tell them we need to have a very important meeting. We need to talk about the humans." Dr. Sujin sat alone in her laboratory, surrounded by floating screens that showed information. About humans? She was the best scientist in the galaxy for studying alien species, but this assignment was making her feel sick. The more she learned about humans, the more scared she became. Her tentacles moved nervously as she read through files. The humans looked normal enough in the pictures. They had 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. They were smaller than most species. In the galaxy, their technology was basic compared to what other civilizations had. Their ships were made of simple metal instead of the living materials that advanced species used. But the battle videos told a different story. Su-Jin watched a video of human soldiers boarding an Apex ship. The Apex were machines that stood 3 meters tall and had weapons built into their bodies. They moved with perfect coordination and could calculate thousands of battle scenarios in seconds. They should have been impossible to defeat in close combat. The humans moved through the ship, like water flowing around rocks. When an Apex machine shot at them, they were already somewhere else, picked up broken pieces of metal, and used them as weapons. They took guns from dead Apex soldiers and figured out how to use them in seconds, fought like they could. "See the future. Computer play battle. Video number 47, Sujin said. The screen showed a human ship attacking an Apex battle station. The space station was the size of a small moon and had enough firepower to destroy a planet. The human ship was tiny in comparison. It should have been destroyed instantly. Instead, the human ship moved in patterns that made no sense. It flew straight at the station's biggest guns, then suddenly changed direction at the last second. It attacked from angles that seemed impossible. When the station's weapons fired, the human ship was never where it was supposed to be. The humans are not following any known battle tactics, Sujin said to herself. They are making it up as they go along. She switched to another video. This one showed human soldiers fighting inside an Apex facility. Machines were trying to surround them, but the humans kept splitting up and coming back together in ways that confused the Apex computers. They used the environment around them like weapons. They broke pipes to create steam clouds. They damaged lights to create darkness. They turned the Apex facility into a trap for the Apex themselves. The laboratory door opened, and Dr. Minho walked in. He was another scientist who had been studying the humans, but he looked even more worried than Sujin felt. "You seen the psychological profiles?" he asked. "What psychological profiles?" Minho waved his hand, and new screens appeared. The Apex kept detailed records of every species they fought. They studied how different beings think and react in battle. "Look at what they wrote about humans." Sujin read the Apex reports with growing horror. The machines had tried to understand human thinking patterns, but they had failed completely. The reports said that humans did not think like any other species. They did not follow logical patterns. They could not be predicted. "Look at this part," Minho said, pointing at the screen. The Apex wrote that humans can hold completely opposite ideas in their minds at the same time. They can be terrified and brave simultaneously. They can be logical and emotional in the same decision. "That should make them weak," Sujin said. "Confusion should make them easy to defeat." "But it did not," Minho replied. "It made them impossible to fight against." The Apex could not predict what humans would do because humans did not know what they would do until they did it. The two scientists stared at the screens in silence. The Galactic Council had asked them to understand humans so they could plan for first contact. But the more they learned, the more they realized that understanding humans might be impossible. There is something else, Minho said quietly. The Apex were not just afraid of human soldiers. They were afraid of all humans. Even human children. Showed patterns that the Apex could not understand. Sujin felt her stomachs turning. What do you mean? The Apex captured some human civilians during their first attacks. They tried to study them, to understand how humans think. But even the human children were unpredictable. It would be crying one moment and laughing the next. It would be scared of something harmless and completely calm about something dangerous. And this scared the Apex? Terrified them, Minho said. The Apex were designed to understand and predict behavior. But humans were like chaos given form. The machines could not handle that level of unpredictability. Sujin closed her eyes and tried to imagine what it would be like to fight humans. Every tactical manual in the galaxy was based on the idea that enemies would act in somewhat predictable ways. But humans apparently threw out all the rules and made up new ones as they went along. The Galactic Council meets tomorrow, she said. They want our recommendations for first contact protocols. What are we going to tell them? Minho asked. Sujin looked at all the screens around her laboratory. Videos of humans fighting, reports of human unpredictability. Evidence that the galaxy's most feared enemy had run away rather than face humans again. We tell them the truth. She said, we tell them that humans are not just another species. They're something completely different. And we tell them that if the Apex were too scared to fight humans, then maybe we should be scared too. Fleet Admiral Dong-Su walked back and forth on the bridge of his ship. His tail moved quickly behind him, which always happened when he was nervous. Around him, the best diplomatic minds in the galaxy were trying to solve a problem that had never existed before. This is impossible, said Ambassador Saw Young. Her scales were changing colors from blue to red, which meant she was very worried. All our first contact rules are made for species that might be scared of us. We are supposed to be the advanced ones. We're supposed to be the ones with better technology. She pointed at the screen showing human ships. But these humans apparently use the galaxy's most dangerous killers as target practice. How do we make first contact with beings like that? The meeting room was full of diplomats from different species. They had all survived the Apex War. They had all seen their worlds attacked and their people killed. But now they were all afraid of a species they had never even met. Maybe we should just stay away from them, suggested Ambassador Junho. His forearms were shaking slightly. We could put warning signs around human space. Tell everyone to avoid that area. That will not work, said Admiral Dong-Su. Look at these reports. New screens appeared showing human space activities. The humans were not staying in their home system anymore. They were building new colonies on other worlds, but they were sending ships to explore nearby star systems. They were expanding. Our computers calculated their expansion rate, said Navigation Officer Kyung Ho. At their current speed, they will reach our borders in less than 6 months. The room went very quiet. Everyone was staring at the screens. Human ships were moving through space in neat formations. They were not exploring randomly like most young species did. They were moving with purpose, like they had a plan. Their ships are strange, said military analyst the Jin. They are not very big, but they move very fast. Look at their formation patterns. The screens showed groups of human ships moving together. They stayed close to each other, but not too close. They moved in ways that would make them hard to attack, but easy to coordinate. It looked like they had been doing this for a very long time. They move like they expect trouble, Admiral Dong-Su said. Like they are ready to fight at any moment. Maybe they are always ready to fight, whispered Ambassador So-Young. Maybe that is why the Apex were so afraid of them. Dr. Sujin entered the meeting room carrying a data tablet. She looked tired and worried. I have the final report on human psychology, she said. You are not going to like it. She activated her tablet, and new information appeared on the main screens. Humans are not like any species we have ever encountered. They can switch between peaceful and violent behavior instantly. They can be friendly and dangerous at the same time. The screens showed video recordings of humans in their daily lives. They were laughing, playing with their children, creating art, and building beautiful cities. They looked harmless and peaceful. But here's the scary part, Dr. Sujin continued. These same humans can become killing machines in seconds. The Apex found this out when they first attacked human colonies. The humans went from normal daily life to total war without any warning. Ambassador Junho leaned forward. What do you mean? Human farmers became soldiers? Human teachers became tacticians. Human artists became weapon specialists. They did. Not need training time or preparation. They just ... changed. The room was silent again. Everyone was trying to understand what this meant. So they are always ready for war, even when they look peaceful, asked Admiral Dong-Su. Worse than that, Dr. Sujin replied. They are always ready for war, but they do not act like soldiers. Until they need to. They can live normal, happy lives right up until the moment someone threatens them. Then they become something else entirely. Navigation Officer Kyung-ho was looking at his screens with a worried expression. Sir, we are getting more reports about human expansion. They have established 17 new colonies in the past 6 months. Your military ships are ... efficient. Admiral Dong-Su looked at the tactical displays. Human ships were moving through space in patterns that made his military training scream warnings. They were not just exploring, they were positioning themselves. They were getting ready for something. How long do we have? He asked. Before they reach our space? Maybe 6 months? Maybe less. The Admiral made his decision quickly. Signal the fleet. We approach the Sol system within 1 week. Are you sure that is wise? Asked Ambassador Soyoung. We have 2 choices, Admiral Dong-Su replied. We can wait for them to come to us. Or we can go to them. If we wait, we will be reacting to whatever they decide to do. If we go to them, we might be able to control the situation. He looked around the room at all the worried faces. Prepare every peace offering we have. Get the universal translators ready. Bring gifts from every major civilization. And ... He paused, looking uncomfortable. And prepare every surrender protocol we have, just in case. The room erupted in shocked voices. No one had ever prepared surrender protocols for first contact before. Sir, said Ambassador Junho, are you expecting us to surrender? I am expecting us to survive, Admiral Dong-Su replied. The Apex chose to fight the entire galaxy rather than face humans again. That tells me everything I need to know about how dangerous humans can be. The fleet began preparing for the most important and terrifying first contact mission in galactic history. The alien fleet appeared at the edge of the Sol system like ghosts materializing from the darkness. 200 ships, each one carrying the most advanced technology the galaxy could offer, floated in perfect formation. They had come to meet the species that had terrified the Apex into fleeing across the stars. Captain Biora stood on the bridge of the lead ship, her hands clasped behind her back. She had conducted first contact with over 30 different species. During her career, she had met beings made of gas, creatures that lived in stars, and civilizations that existed in multiple dimensions at once. But she had never been this nervous before. Sensors are picking up the human orbital stations, reported Lieutenant Young-Soo. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking slightly as he worked at his control panel. They are smaller than we expected. The screens showed Earth hanging in space like a blue and white jewel. Around it, space stations and orbital facilities moved in lazy circles. But these were not the massive fortress installations they had expected. They looked like normal civilian structures. There were no obvious weapons, no threatening displays of power. This cannot be right, whispered Communications Officer Hai-Jin. Where are their battleships? Where are their defense platforms? Captain Biora studied the displays carefully. Her military training told her that Earth should be heavily defended. Any species capable of defeating the Apex should have turned their homeworld into an impregnable fortress. But Earth looked ... normal. Maybe they are hiding their weapons, suggested Navigation Officer Kung-ho. Maybe their technology is so advanced that we cannot see it. Before anyone could respond, the communication system came to life. Simple audio message filled the bridge, spoken in perfect galactic standard language. Welcome to human space. Please state your intentions. The alien crew froze. The voice was calm and friendly, like someone greeting visitors at their home. There was no threat in it, no warning, no demand for identification or surrender. It's just a polite request for information. Captain Biora looked around at her crew. They were all staring at the speakers with confused expressions. This was not how dangerous species were supposed to behave. "Open a channel," she ordered. "This is Captain Bora of the Galactic Alliance vessel Peaceful Dawn," she said carefully. "We come seeking diplomatic contact with the human species." Response came within minutes. Same calm voice replied. "Permission granted." "Captain Jiwoo of the UES Harmony requests permission to board your vessel for preliminary discussions." The bridge went silent. Humans wanted to come aboard their ship. A single human was going to visit a fleet of 200 alien vessels. Either the humans were incredibly brave or incredibly confident in their abilities. "Should we allow it?" asked Lieutenant Young-Su. Captain Biora thought quickly. Every protocol said they should meet on neutral ground. But the humans were offering to come to them. It was either a sign of trust or a demonstration of power. Grant permission, she decided. But keep all security teams on alert. A small human shuttle approached their massive flagship. The vessel was elegant in its simplicity, with clean lines and no visible weapons. It looked like a civilian transport, not a military craft. Captain Biora found this more unsettling than if it had been bristling with guns. "The shuttle is requesting docking permission," reported the docking officer. "They are transmitting standard approach codes." "How do they know our docking codes?" asked Hyjin. "Grant permission," Captain Biora said, though her stomach was twisting with worry. The shuttle docked smoothly, and sensors showed a single person walking through the airlock. Captain Biora and her senior staff waited in the main docking bay. Surrounded by security guards in full combat armor, the human who stepped out of the shuttle was not what they had expected. Captain Ji-woo appeared to be middle-aged by human standards, with short dark hair and kind eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform with no visible weapons. She looked completely ordinary. "Greetings," Ji-woo said with a warm smile. "Hope your journey was comfortable. Would you like some coffee? It is a human beverage that most species find enjoyable." The casual offer threw the alien delegation off balance. They had prepared for threats, demands, or complex diplomatic protocols. They had not prepared for someone offering them drinks. "Thank you, but we are fine," Captain Biora replied carefully. "We are honored to meet a representative of humanity." Gu nodded pleasantly. "We have been looking forward to this meeting for quite some time. We were wondering when you might be ready for proper introductions." The words sent a chill through the assembled aliens. The humans had been expecting this meeting. They had been waiting for it. "You have been expecting us?" asked Captain Biora. "Oh yes," Ji-woo said, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. "We have been observing galactic affairs for generations. We figured we should wait until the children stopped fighting before we introduced ourselves properly." It's a casual way she referred to the devastating Apex War as children fighting made several of the aliens step backward. Lieutenant Young-Su made a small choking sound. "How, you were observing the war?" Captain Biora asked. "Of course," Ji-woo replied. "We had to make sure you were ready for contact. Some species need time to mature before they can handle meeting us." She paused, looking thoughtful. The Apex, for example, were not ready. They reacted rather poorly to discovering our observation posts. The human captains spoke about the Apex like they were misbehaving children rather than the most feared force in galactic history. Her tone was gentle and understanding, but somehow that made her words more terrifying than any threat could have been. "We hope you will be more mature in your approach," Ji-woo continued with that same warm smile. Captain Ji-woo walked slowly around the meeting room, her hands behind her back. The alien delegates watched her every move with nervous eyes. She looked like a teacher giving a gentle lesson to students, but everyone in the room felt like they were in the presence of something far more dangerous. "Let me explain what really happened with the Apex," Gu said in her calm voice. "We had monitoring stations scattered throughout the galaxy. Nothing fancy, just small observation posts. To keep track of how galactic civilization was developing, she touched a control panel, and holographic displays appeared in the air. The aliens gasped as they saw dozens of human outposts that had been hidden in their space for decades. The posts were so well concealed that even their best sensors had never detected them. The Apex found one of our stations about 15 years ago, Jiwoo continued. They decided we were a threat that needed to be eliminated. They sent a fleet to Earth to destroy us. The displays changed to show space battles, but these were not the battles the aliens had expected to see. The human ships moved like dancers, flowing around Apex weapons fire. They fought with a grace, an efficiency that made the watching aliens feel sick. Our military was actually disappointed, Jiwoo said with a small smile. Based on the Apex reputation, we expected them to be more challenging opponents.
Ow.
But they fought like machines. Very predictable, very logical. Ambassador So-young found her voice. You were disappointed? Well, yes, Jiwoo replied. The Apex could only think in straight lines. It would calculate the best tactical approach and then follow it exactly. But we humans, we do not think like that. We improvise. We take risks that make no mathematical sense. We fight dirty when we need to. The holographic displays showed human soldiers boarding Apex ships. They moved through the vessels like water, flowing around obstacles, using everything around them as weapons. They turned the Apex technology against itself in ways that the machines had never imagined possible. The Apex kept sending larger fleets, Gu said. They thought the problem was that they did not have enough ships. But size was not their problem. Their problem was that they could not understand us. They showed them a battle where 3 human ships destroyed an entire Apex fleet. The aliens watched in horror as the humans used tactics that seemed impossible. They split their forces when they should have stayed together. They attacked when they should have retreated. They did everything wrong according to military theory, but somehow it worked perfectly. After the 5th major defeat, the Apex leadership made a decision, Jiwoo explained. They classified Earth and the entire Sol system as forbidden territory. They decided it was better to conquer the rest of the galaxy than to keep fighting us. The room was completely silent. The aliens were beginning to understand the terrible truth. The Apex had not been trying to conquer the galaxy. They had been running away from humans. But that created a problem for us, Jiwoo continued. Apex were so scared of humans that they started attacking innocent species across the galaxy. They were taking out their frustration on civilizations that had nothing to do with their conflict with us. She looked directly at each alien delegate in turn. We could not allow that to continue, so we began hunting them down. New displays showed human fleets moving through space with deadly purpose. They tracked down Apex forces wherever they hid. They dismantled Apex strongholds with surgical precision. They turned the galaxy's most feared enemy into scattered refugees. The Apex called it the cleansing, Gu said.
Ow.
They had never experienced anything like it before. It's an enemy that could not be predicted. An enemy that got stronger the more desperate the situation became. Captain Biora finally managed to speak. Why are you telling us this? Because you deserve to know the truth, Jiwoo replied. And because the galaxy needs to understand its new situation. She gestured, and the displays changed to show current human activities. Ships moving through space, colonies being established, military vessels taking positions at key locations. We are not here to conquer anyone, Jiwoo explained. We are here to keep the peace. We have been watching galactic civilization for a long time. We have seen what happens when advanced species are left to manage themselves. Wars, genocide, chaos. The human captain's expression became more serious. It is time for adult supervision. The words sent chills through every alien in the room. The humans were not asking to join galactic civilization. They were not requesting membership in the Galactic Council. They were announcing that they were taking charge. What does that mean for us? Asked Ambassador Junho. It means you can continue living your lives exactly as you have been, Jiwoo replied. You can govern your worlds, trade with each other, explore space, develop your cultures. The only thing that changes is that large-scale conflicts will no longer be tolerated. She smiled, but there was something in her eyes that made the aliens shiver. We are very good at stopping conflicts, as the Apex discovered. The meeting ended with humanity formally announcing their new role in galactic affairs. They would not rule directly, but they would be watching, always watching. And anyone who threatened the peace would face the force that had made the apex flee in terror. Within a year, the galaxy had adapted to its new reality. Wars between species became almost non-existent, not because anyone forced peace, but because everyone understood what would happen if they broke it. The humans had fought the apex and won. Now the entire galaxy prayed they would never give humanity a reason to fight again. The great irony was that humanity proved to be kind protectors, genuinely caring for galactic civilization while remaining utterly lethal to those who threatened it.